In this lesson, we will be adding integers. There will be two questions you will be able to answer when we're done with this lesson. First, how do I add integers? And secondly, how can I use my calculator when adding integers? There are a number of ways to think about adding integers. It comes down to you will need to choose the one that makes the most sense for you. So I'm going to look at three of the most popular ways to think about adding integers. Okay, and then you'll have to evaluate them and say, okay, this makes sense to me the most, and that would be the method that you're going to use. Okay, the first method I'm going to look at is good guys versus bad guys. Good guys are positive. Okay, good people are positive. Bad guys are negative. Okay, and so we're going to take this concept that if you have a good guy and he is attacking or coming after a bad guy, all right, what happens is they end up taking each other out and leaving us with nothing. Okay, so this goes back to our introduction to integers that says when a positive and a negative are together, they have no value, they cancel each other out, they knock each other out, they equal nothing. So in this case, we have three bad guys. Okay, we have a negative 3, so that's 3 bad guys. I'm just going to ungroup that. Okay, we also have 7 good guys. Okay, so when we look at our good guys and our bad guys, this bad guy takes out that good guy. This bad guy takes out that good guy. And this bad guy takes out that good guy. So we've lost 1, 2, 3 sets of guys. What do we have left? We have these 4 good guys left. So our answer to negative 3 plus 7 is 4. Okay. Now B is kind of different. 5 plus 2, you look at that and you know that answer, but I want to show you in terms of good guys and bad guys, so it hopefully makes sense in that context. So in this case, we have 5 good guys. We're adding to that 2 more good guys. Well, in this case, there are no bad guys to take out the good guys. So what do we have? We have 7 good guys. So 5 plus 2, which we know is 7, is shown with the context of good versus bad. Okay, now we're going to look at example C. Example C says negative 8 plus 2. That means we have 8 bad guys. Okay, these 8 bad guys are going against 2 good guys, positive 2. Okay, so this bad guy takes out that good guy, and this bad guy takes out that good guy. All right, so they end up knocking each other out. In this case, we're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bad guys, or 6 negatives, so our answer to this problem is a negative 6. Let's look at one last example. We have a negative 4 plus a negative 6. So in this case, I have 4 bad guys. And I'm adding to this group of people 6 more bad guys, both negative numbers, so 4 negatives and 6 negatives. Okay, in this case, there's no positive guys, no good guys to take out the bad guys. So what do we have in this group? We have a total of 10 bad guys, which is 10 negatives. So our answer to this problem is negative 10. Okay, good guys and bad guys. One way to look at this. Let's look at another way. Kind of similar, but it's just using manipulatives or some sort of shape or whatever you want to use. I'm going to use squares. My positive values are blue. Okay, my negative values are going to be red. So if I have a negative 3, that means I have 1, 2, 3 negatives. Okay, and if I'm adding to that 7 positives, what we talked about with good guys versus bad guys, that when you have a positive and a negative, they cancel each other out. So that's gone, and that's gone. The 3 negatives are canceled out by 3 of the positives. So what do we have left? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 positives. So our answer is positive 4. B is similar. I'm going to pull down my values. I have 5 positive values. I'm going to add to that 2 more positive values. Now in this case there are no negatives to cancel out the positives. So my answer, which we knew already, 5 plus 2, would be 7 positives, or just 7. The next problem has a negative 8 plus 2. So I need to have 8 negative values. Okay, and I'm going to add to that 2 positive values. Okay, so notice I put the 2 positive values next to 2 of my negative values, because 1 positive, 1 negative, they cancel each other out. Okay, so what we're left with then is these negative values, okay, of which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives left. So negative 8 plus 2 has an answer of negative 6. Lastly, negative 4 plus negative 6, I have 4 negatives. Oops. And I have added to that 6 more negatives. Okay, there are again no positives to cancel out any of these negatives. So if I look at what I have those 4 negatives and 6 more negatives to give me 10 total negatives. So my answer to this problem is 10 negatives, or the number negative 10. This method is very similar to good guys and bad guys, but it just gives you something concrete, something in your hands that you can hold on to and move around to look at what the answer is going to be. Okay. One more method. This one's a little bit different than the other methods. Using the number line. So I'm going to, first of all, number my number line to help me figure out where my values are. So I'm going to do my positives first. My zeros here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then I have my negative values, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, and negative 9. So again, negative numbers get more negative as they get further away from 0. So the way the number line method works is I'm going to start at the first number. This tells you where to start. Okay, so I'm going to start at negative 3. Okay, that's where I am. When I'm going to add something, generally, when we're talking about real numbers, when you add something to what you already have, the amount you have gets bigger. Okay, so we're going to add 7. By adding 7, getting bigger means you go towards the positives. If you're going to get smaller, that means you're going to head to the left towards the numbers that are more negative. Okay? So if I add 7 to negative 3, I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My answer to this problem is positive 4. Okay. Let's look at the next one. The next one has me starting at 5. So I'd be starting at 5. It says I'm adding, so I'm going to get bigger. I'm adding 2. So if I add 2, that takes me to 7. So the answer to this problem is 7. Let's look at the next one. The next one says we're starting at negative 8. So on my number line, I find negative 8. And I'm adding, which means I'm going to get bigger. I'm adding 2. So when I do that, I go to the right so I can get bigger. And when I add 2, that takes me to negative 6. So that's my answer for C. Let's look at one more example. So I'm starting at what number? Okay. If you think about this, the first number is always the one we're going to start at, so I'm going to start at negative 4. Now this one gets a little tricky because now we're adding a negative. Okay, adding means you get bigger. But this negative, normally this plus sign means we go to the right because we want to get bigger. But this negative says, nope, you have to go to the left one to get smaller. So I'm going to move to the left one, and that takes me to negative 5, which is my answer for D. Okay, so pluses mean you move to the right. Anytime there's a negative, that means you're going to change direction and go to the left. Okay? So here are some more examples I'd like you to try on your own. So if you would please pause the video, use one of the 3 methods, and find the solutions to these 4 problems. Okay, so negative 3 plus negative 2. Whether you did good guys and bad guys, manipulatives, number line, okay, you have 3 negatives, and you're adding 2 more negatives. There are no positives to take them out, so your final answer should have been negative 5. If you have a 4 plus negative 3, we have 4 good guys or 4 positives, and we have 3 negatives. So each of these negatives is going to take out one of the positives. Okay, so that's gone, and that's gone. The only thing left is that 1, so your final answer is positive 1. 9 plus 3. You've got 9 good guys or 9 positives. And we are adding 3 more positives. Okay, there are no negatives to take out any of the positives, to cancel out any of the positives. So if we count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, we have a total of 12 positives. Finally, with D, we have 6 negatives. And going to ungroup those, okay? And with those 6 negatives, we're adding on 8 positives. So I'm going to put my positives up here. And I try to line them up so it makes it easier to see which ones get which ones. Oops, so that positive and negative took each other out. That one. So I have all 6 of my negatives are taking out a positive. So that's gone, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. Gone, gone, gone. So all I'm left with are these 2 positives. So my answer to this problem is positive 2. Hopefully you did all right on that, and your understanding of integers is improving every day. I want to now take a look at how you can use your calculator to help you. Okay? So we're going to take a look at how this works. So let's say you're going to type in a negative number. If you're going to type in a negative number, you're going to use this key down here that I circled in red. Okay, that's the negative key. So if we want to do negative 4 plus 7, okay, we would have to type that in, negative 4 plus 7. Okay, and when we hit the enter key, it shows us as a positive 3. If we want to do negative 2 plus negative 8, we would hit our negative key with our 2 plus negative again 8 and then enter, and that equals negative 10. Okay, so when you are typing in a negative number, make sure you use the negative key on the bottom, and when you plug in the calculator, it will give you your answer as a positive or negative, whatever it would be. All right, if you have questions about using the calculator or about adding integers in general, I can help you in class. Thank you for watching this video.